Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out to Dale West Watson, Mike, Henrik86, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Chris Hellman, NA Literalist, Steve ALM, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Liam Nedrick, Dank, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Tina Baker, Alexander Main, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'm going to raise the mic on Discord. I think it's just Neil in there at the moment, but we'll hopefully strike up a conversation while I set up for today's live show.
Thank you. Now you're punning.
Yeah, you're rubbing off on me.
What display? What are you talking about?
Well, you remember a while back ago I came on your show and told you that Star Trail photography proves flat Earth, and then I showed some pictures of all these star trails and the tripod and the trees and all the other objects in the foreground as they were taking the star trails, and only the stars were moving. Then I checked into the websites and also YouTube channels of professional photographers who do star trails, and found out what goes into it. You need a steady tripod, et cetera, et cetera. So then that led to, I think it was Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, if I'm not mistaken, who took supposed star trail photography from the ISS and posted it online and has a book about it. So I looked at those pictures and I said, something's wrong here. It shows the Earth turning, when it shows the lights on the Earth as a trail, and it also shows the concentric circles of a star trail, and they're like sitting on top of one another. And I said, this is phony. So I took copies of that and emailed some of these photographers. And I said, can you explain this to me? How is this even possible? And by the way, the ISS is moving 17,500 miles an hour, so there's a third motion there. And I didn't get anything back because it went against what they said of how to do a star trail, which is you need a steady platform or else you're going to cause a blur. So if you kick your tripod while your camera is set on 2.5-hour mode, say aimed at a certain part of the night sky, then you're going to get a blur when you go look at the 10-second footage because you kept kicking your camera, or, in a sense, fiddling with it because the tripod kept moving. So then I went and I looked at time-lapse motion photography taken from a car where the streetlights are coming at you like a star trail. And then you see a passenger and a driver inside the car, and the dashboard is focused and the speedometer shows 40 kilometers or whatever. And everything is like very clear, much like the trees in the foreground when you're aiming at the night sky and only the stars are leaving the trail. In this case, the oncoming lights were the trail, and inside the car was very focused, except when you zoomed in on the passenger who had a little smartphone in her hand and she kept jiggling it. So that had a little, blur to it. And then the glasses on the rims of the driver, so forth. So overall, when you look at all the compilation of the pictures I put together, you realize how phony what they say is. Because you can't have the Earth turning, the stars doing the star trail, which they say, and the ISS going at 17,500. It's impossible.
Cool. And what did you do in terms of Bev though? Did you just send him all the pics, or did you discuss it and show him?
Yeah, yeah. It was a hangout. I mean, I could put it a little bit together and do it next week for you if you want, or I could just.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Subtle, wouldn't I?
By the way, Neil, go find a private owner and buy it from there. Don't buy it from someone who went to an auction.
It was from a private owner.
Yeah, I'm
bought
looking.
it from the auction.
He's a private owner, but he got it from an auction. Yeah.
What I think.
Don't buy it from the auction.
What 10th Man means is buy it from someone who's had the car registered to them. So if I was selling my TT, it's been registered to my wife pretty much since new. So it's got like history with that owner, as opposed to an owner who's gone, wow, this is a pile of crap. I'll trade it in at a dealer for something better. The dealer will then stick it in the auction, and that's the end of that car. And then some guy who's trying to flip it buys it because it seems cheap and tries to flog it to you. Well, that chain can be broken just by you going through the, I don't know, the classifieds or whatever it is, and looking for what you can find in your local area.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very different here in terms of purchasing because the prices are so much lower. But ultimately speaking, you just find what you want, go and look at it. If it means you have to drive for 50 miles, so be it. Get someone to drive you if you haven't got your car currently up and running. Have a look at it, drive it, and then buy it if it's good. It's that simple. But buy it from a private owner, I think, is the point, because there's no in-betweeners that are going to be weaseling a bit of money out of you, basically.
Yeah, and you get to meet them, you get to see their demeanor, and this is how I used to buy and sell cars when I was a kid. I'd go to interview the private owners, and I lived next to Leisure World, and most of them were older and very respectable people, and they just wanted, a different car, but they had owned the car since the time that it was sold, and maintenance records, everything. So it was a good way.
And take cash. Cash is the worst way to buy if you're buying if you're buying privately, then cash is king. Any other way, they want to sell you finance. Obviously, the auction's totally
No,
different.
I ain't dealing with finance.
Sure,
I want to buy cash.
You just want to hand over money to somebody for a car, right? Well, taking cash with you, if you can look around a car and you've got, let's say it's up for $4,000, and you take $3,000 with you, i.e. less. That's the way I always do it. And you've got the cash to find out in front of them and say, I'll give you this in my hand. It really does work.
Yeah, that's the way I do it too. I bring what I'm going to pay, and that's it.
I like watching the car hagglers. Gas Monkey Garage was always my favourite in terms of his negotiation skills for cars. And he'd just go in and it almost always, without exception, in fact, offer half, if not less. You want $6,000? Fan out the cash. I got 3 for it. That would be like his top offer. But normally he'd end up on that. In other words, he'd be like, I don't want to insult you, but I'm going to offer you $1,000 for your $6,000 vehicle. You know what I mean? That would be the kind of negotiation.
I'll tell you what, whatever app that my brother-in-law's got, it gave him the whole history of this car. Had 5 owners. It showed both times the odometer was rolled back. It had every state that the car was in. So, pretty good.
Sounds like Big Brother.
Yep.
When I had my boat, I'd be skimming through the magazines that had all the boat sales, and they'd be putting them out over there by the marina each month or each week. A new one would come out. So I'd see a boat, and I already had a boat, but I just like to stay current on everything. And so I see a boat, and they're saying $200,000, let's say, and I say, huh. So then a guy says, no, what you got to do is hang on to that magazine, because the guy won't sell it. He's asking too much. And then next year, that same boat will reappear as if it's going to be for sale for the first time. And then you go back to your older issue and see that he tried to push it at 200, but he couldn't get it, but he's just playing this game. And sure enough, when I went and got my yacht sales license, I got the the password and everything that go into the data banks of, say, yachtworld.com or all these different things. And you can see the history of any boat, how many times it was offered for sale, and if it sold, if it didn't sell. It's always the same thing. It's much like the car auction thing. They just kept regurgitating it. And the private buyer would never know that.
Go and check out Scotty, Neil. YouTuber called Scotty. Just type in Scotty, you'll find him immediately. Dude with glasses, like blackened lenses, mechanic. And scroll through his videos, find some that are relevant to the type of cars that you're looking at, and just watch them. They're normally about 10 minutes long. Just watch a couple of Scotty's videos and get an idea of what he's saying is good and what's not good and why. If you can spend maybe an hour or two just watching Scotty videos, that will help you immensely.
Sounds like a plan.
Then get an idea of what you actually want to buy. If you want a Tundra, which I think is a really good, I personally think it would be the best car for you, but whatever, decide what you want and then look and study that car. What are the typical faults? What are the Achilles heels of it? What are the things that typically get deferred in maintenance? All those sorts of things. Research the type of car. Then go out and look at what's available, and you'll know what questions to ask. It's a lot of money. So, several $1,000s. So don't be hasty, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got to be patient, I know.
Yeah, it's good. Good feel, good factor. If you end up with something that you've got a good price on and is good quality, does what you want, all those things. Very satisfying, very rewarding. Are you making all that noise, Travis? Travis. 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 Travis, you're going to ruin my show. Hello? Travis?
Yeah, Travis got to go.
Yeah, I'm going to have to kick him out of the group if he can't. It's the second time on the trot he's been in and just completely neglected to mute himself, and I cannot do anything about it. Travis! 10th man, shall I just start a new hangout? Because I can't start a live show with Travis completely off mute. Fucking up my entire show. Travis!
Yeah, if you've got no controls, you might as well start.
Yeah, he's leaving me with no choice but to shut down my hangout 2 minutes before a live show starts because he can't control his fucking mute button. Only about the 5th time I've told him in the last 2 times he's joined.
Yeah, apologies not going to be accepted this time.
Yeah, it's just, I have the hangout for people who I can trust not to entirely fuck my show up. And here he is, popping and crackling, not listening to us. Gee, thanks, Travis. Travis. Oh, right. So I am literally going to have to shut down the hangout and restart. 10th, I'm going to have to shut down this hangout.
All right, go ahead. We'll join again.
Go ahead.
Not you guys in Discord. Oh, that's so irritating. E10th.
Yep, I'm here.
Excuse me.
With a minute to go.
Can you all hear 10th Man in Discord?
Yep, loud and clear.
Fine, perfect.
I'm here.
Hey, Redman. Hey, Neil.
Good to know.
Travis needs a whipping.
Take
He's a
it easy.
YouTuber.
Take it easy.
Yeah, okay. He's got no excuse. He's a YouTuber. You know, before I started recording, he was like asking me for advice on this and that, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Just make sure you're really vigilant with your mute button today, eh?
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Bev Try Thinking, Chocolate Saying, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning,
Afternoon.
everybody.
What up?
Hello, hello.
Good morning.
Yay! Enthusiastic start! Hooray! Any signs of a physical... Go on. Was that just more hellos? Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Not from 10th Man's Kitchen.
Nope.
Whoa.
Wow.
Is that you making all that noise, Bev?
I don't think so. Somebody in a yard somewhere.
Figure out who this is making all this noise. Is it you, 10th Man?
Sounds like Travis again.
Is that Travis?
Oh, it's not me.
Okay, just try and keep on mute in Discord or G+ if you're not talking. Thank you very much. So, any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve? Let's try that again.
Not from my kitchen.
There is a sign of it. It's in the mathematics, we're told, though. Not in reality, just in the math.
So abstractions only.
Is that not good enough? Like,
Well, can we see
shouldn't
this
we
math?
just believe it? Shouldn't we just believe it? Because just because it's in the math and the
Can we-
diagrams.
Chocolate, can we see this math?
How do I make the
Can we
math?
see it? No, we can't see it. It's just math. Do it on paper.
Oh
That's
my
pretty
God.
much it.
Travis, please, for the love of Christ, can you mute? Thank you. Hello, by the way. Hello, Arwin, as well.
Hello. So,
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
no. No.
That's in the math too.
That's
Okay, I
Earth
sense a
is
theme.
obviously The Earth is obviously observably flat and motionless. Everyone knows this.
Right. So the presupposed globe is actually rotating, but yeah, how that is originally established that's a globe in the first place is through a non-physical, non-visible geometric horizon of that presupposed globe. So maybe that could actually rotate since it's not visible and physical anyway.
Nothing's rotating, Arwen. It's a Jedi mind trick.
In the pre-show, we were discussing star rotations. So if you've been watching on a premiering stream, this will all make sense. If you're watching live, this may not make any sense. So
nothing's rotating. I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, all I was going to talk about was what's on screen. So no preposterous assertions that actual spin directions are akin to not actual Coriolis effect.
True. But it's the same people who say we're rotating, but we can't feel it, or the same people who say that geometric physical horizon, it's there, but we can't see it. When is this nonsense going to stop, and when are they going to get real instead of just living in fairyland here?
But what about the permanent storm on Jupiter? That's caused by Coriolis effect, right?
Number one. Go on, 10th. I was about to lay you down. You go ahead.
Well, we both were jumping on that one. That's a close-up of a mole on some dead scientist's face, Arwen. Go on, Nathan.
Number one, right? Coriolis effect is a not actual deflection. In other words, if there was a spinning Earth and we were observing Coriolis effect, that would be described as looking at a plane, an aeroplane, that's actually travelling straight. But because you're spinning underneath it, it seems to curve. So Coriolis effect is a not actual deflection, meaning it seems to take a curved path, but is actually travelling straight. That would be the aeroplane that you're observing if we have an Earth-based Coriolis effect. You look up, go, wow, that plane looks like it's curving. And in reality, it's travelling straight. It just appears to be because you're rotating underneath. The problem with this claimed 15 degrees an hour rotation of the Earth underneath anything not attached to it, as exampled in things like gyroscopes and pendulums, is that if Earth is rotating underneath this aeroplane, for us to see it seem to curve, then Earth's rotating underneath that aeroplane, and that would shorten flight times when the plane is travelling west, and it would be fighting against Earth turn when travelling east. Now, obviously, this does not happen. Now, if Earth is not rotating underneath the aeroplane, which is what the fundies who come here will argue for a justification thereof, then we don't observe Coriolis effect in the aeroplane, if Earth's not turning underneath it as it's claimed to do. So, no Coriolis effect, no, oh, it looks like it's curving, because actually it's not got the Earth turning underneath, by way of argument from our opposing globe side, then it's not turning underneath it to give you Coriolis effect, therefore no Coriolis effect. So the claim proof Earth spins is Coriolis effect, and we do not have one. It's observable from a roundabout, definitely not observable from a spinning Earth, because planes would have their flight times reduced if it did.
Right, so it's basically stupid that they're still inserting Coriolis effect as being some kind of proof of Earth rotation when then they end up always arguing that there isn't any. Why don't they just say, no, you don't notice on Earth, but just look at the star rotating. That's caused by Coriolis of the Earth rotation. I would stick to just that if I were them and forget about this Coriolis nonsense.
You know what the best part is, though? You can have an hour-long conversation with these clowns about it, right? Talking about aircraft flights and how shorten aircraft flights going in one direction. But then as soon as you ask them to demonstrate it or show it demonstrated, the only thing that they can even talk about is somebody going and shooting a gun.
Throwing a football.
And they don't even show you that. They just say it.
Hold on, chocolate. Hold on. Hello. Go ahead, Arwen. Can you just repeat what you just said and give expand
or
on it?
throwing a football. Don't forget about that one.
Well, it's kicking.
Yeah, you're right.
You going to expand on it, or am I going to?
You do it. You know it much better than I do.
Fine. So Neil deGrasse Tyson examples kicking a football and it going through a goal as a result of Earth turning underneath. So from the stands, you see the ball seem to curve its way through the goalposts. Seem to, because it's actually travelling straight. It's only Earth turning underneath, moving the goalposts. But from your vantage point watching the ball, it would seem to curve. Now, it's not actually curving. It's a Coriolis effect caused by Earth claimed to be rotating under the football. And likewise, a plane that's travelling overhead of the stadium is also not attached to the ground. And you would also observe the same exact apparent deviation, it seeming to curve, because Earth's turning underneath it according to the claim of an Earth that turns by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Ball gets kicked, Earth turns underneath, goal gets scored. Ball seems to curve from the stands because Earth's turning underneath and you're attached to that platform that's turning. The ball isn't, so it seems to take a curved trajectory. Well, no, it's actually travelling straight. It's a not actual deflection because Earth's turning underneath, you see it seem to curve. But if that was the case with a football and a pendulum and a gyro because they're not attached to the spinning reference frame, then planes, drones, hot air balloons, or anything that's left a claim to be spinning ball Earth must drift and does not, debunking any claim that we have a not actual deflection because Earth's spinning underneath things. You'd simply launch a drone and it would drift away from you as Earth spinned underneath it. That does not happen. Earth is not spinning. Neil deGrasse Tyson's assertion simply comes because it's nice and short. The ball's only in the air for a couple of seconds, so it's easy to pull the wool over the layman's eyes that that's an effect of Earth turning underneath. Same with a bullet. Well, the Earth turned underneath the bullet seemed to curve as you watched it, but actually it's left a spinning platform, it's travelling straight and Earth's turning underneath the bullet. So you've got to account for that according to them. Well, if Earth's turning underneath the bullet because it's left a spinning platform, like a ball leaving your hand on a roundabout, and seeming to curve because it's not attached anymore, then an aeroplane, which is also not attached, has got the Earth turning underneath it for you to observe it seem to curve, like the bullet, like the ball. So therefore, planes must seem to curve because Earth's turning underneath them, but they don't seem to curve, and they don't have their flight times reduced with Earth turning underneath them so that we can look at them seem to curve, because that would shorten flight times if you're travelling west.
So could we conclude then that maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson within the argument has kind of moved the goalpost concerning the football?
Well, Earth is claimed to have moved the goalposts with the ball in a separate reference frame according to Neil deGrasse Tyson. So as a high priest of heliocentrism, he understands the intrinsic nature of a not actual deflection caused by a non-inertial spinning platform turning underneath something in an inertial frame of reference. That's the ball. So the ball travels through the inertial frame of reference. Earth is claimed to turn underneath it, and that moves the goalposts. The ball travels straight. The goal moves as the ball travels. But if you're watching it in the same reference frame as the goalposts, which are moving with you moving with them, they don't seem to move from your position because you're attached to the same frame of reference, claimed to be a spinning Earth. Ball travels straight, you and the goal move, the Earth moves under the ball. And it would also have to move underneath an aeroplane, and that would shorten the flight times. Moving on.
Just
Any
for
evidence?
the record, that was the argument that converted me in 30 seconds. I was done.
They need, but don't have, a Coriolis deflection. So they assert it in things that have a 2-second hang time.
Curious that more of the ball side doesn't jump on that argument because, Neil deGrasse Tyson does. Oh, wait, that's the guy they like to throw under the bus. They apparently don't favor him too much. Maybe he doesn't help their argument very much. At least
because their argument is in contradiction to the actual rhetoric. The actual rhetoric is what Neil deGrasse Tyson spews. And often we can debunk it fairly simplistically. Oh, Earth's turning underneath a football because it's not attached anymore. Aeroplanes aren't attached anymore and Earth doesn't turn under them. Debunking your claim with this 2-second hang time. But he's actually spouting the correct rhetoric, and we can debunk that. The people who come here know we can debunk it, so they need to talk about how Earth turns with the aeroplane, nothing to do with Coriolis effect anymore, because Earth turning underneath an aeroplane is what gives you Coriolis effect, and you observing it seem to drift is the Coriolis effect in itself. So as soon as you start detailing what the plane's doing, it's totally irrelevant of you observing the plane from a spinning platform, which is claimed to be Earth and claimed to be the proof Earth spins. The problem is we don't observe it. So they assert that we are observing it in bullets and balls because they're only in the air for a couple of seconds. Ignoring the fact that the plane travelling over the stadium in Neil deGrasse Tyson's example would have the same exact effect, far more pronounced because it's in the air for a lot longer. And therefore, Earth's turning underneath it for a lot longer, shortening the flight times. If you had a flight from Charlotte to LA, Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles, it would take about an hour and a half if Earth was turning underneath. Now, it takes about 4 to 4.5 hours because Earth is not turning underneath it. It is that simple. But yeah, they'd need Earth to be turning underneath for you to look at that plane and go, wow, it looks like it's curving, which would be Coriolis effect.
So what you're saying is Neil deGrasse understands his story, I should say, and since he doesn't really have to debate anybody, he can just spit the story the way it's supposed to be, right?
Precisely.
So he won't say things like, oh, the conservation of momentum and things like that, knowing that has nothing to do with Coriolis. That's the projectile experiencing that. So he can just spit the rhetoric correctly, while the guys that come here have to switch it and bounce it and remix it in order to make it sound like it's winnable when they can't.
Yeah, they have to change it into something it isn't. You've already detailed the conservation of angular or linear momentum. Half of them don't know the difference. And they have to convolute that so that they're not talking about Coriolis effect anymore. They're detailing precisely, as you said, Chocolate, the projectile. Well, the projectile itself really has nothing to do with Coriolis effect. It's your observation of the projectile, which could potentially be stationary. It could be you on a roundabout looking at a lamppost that's concreted into the ground. And as you turn underneath it, it looks like it's curving away from you. Well, it's concreted into the ground. Therefore, what's happening to the lamppost is nigh on irrelevant. It's only what you observe of it that describes what happens in Coriolis effect. So when they start saying, well, Earth is travelling with the plane, its momentum is conserved, the engines, blah, blah, blah. Well, what's that got to do with me observing it seem to drift? Nothing is the answer. So they take it away from Coriolis effect because they don't have any. And to justify why they don't have any, they talk about something that isn't Coriolis effect anymore.
Yeah, so in case, I don't know if I got heard last time, but it bears repeating. This was the simplicity of physics and logic that brought me into flat Earth in 30 seconds. It took me 30 seconds. I was driving my truck, looking straight ahead, and I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. The simplicity, right? They don't like simplicity. They don't want simplicity. They muddy the waters with complexity and confusion. And so everything that you and I know, everything that a child knows, they had to come up with pseudoscientific explanations to counter, because you can't prove it, which is why science doesn't prove anything, which is ironic, because if science did prove something in this area, it would prove the opposite. That's why they don't want science to prove anything, because if it did, it would prove too much. You don't want science to prove something in this discussion, do you? No, you don't.
They don't have science, they have pseudoscience, which they call science. So when they say science doesn't prove anything, what they actually mean is we don't have any science, which would be empirical evidence proving cause. We have a story, and it can be easily unpicked. Therefore, science doesn't prove anything. Meaning our pseudoscience, definitely not an adherence to the scientific method, does not prove anything. That's what they actually mean when they say that. Science definitely proves things.
That's amazing.
All right,
It
so
only took you 30 seconds and you were flat.
This is a top 3, Neil. You got Coriolis effect at
Yeah,
number
but
3.
why can't he hit his mute button then?
He's all right now.
No. I was going to talk right when you started to, and then you asked me. It really only took you 30 seconds, so I was going to answer you, so that's why I left my mute button open.
He was just making a joke because I had to literally load a new Hangout because of your failure to mute.
Aye, aye, aye.
Somebody can explain
Anyway.
clouds.
Right, it's top 3 though, Neil. So yes, I know it's a joke, but it's worth mentioning anyway. So number 3 is Coriolis Effect. We can disprove Earth spinning by the lack of Coriolis Effect. It's that simple. We don't see things seem to drift with Earth turning underneath them. That's a fact. Demonstrably, Earth is not turning. Coriolis Effect proves Earth is not spinning. The claim is we have a 15-degree deviation. That's Earth turning underneath. A ball, like Neil deGrasse Tyson examples. Yeah, that's Earth turning underneath a ball. Well, if Earth turns underneath a ball, like Neil deGrasse Tyson says, it turns underneath an aeroplane and shortens the flight times. So you can look up and see it seem to drift like the football. That does not happen. So it's a top 3 globe killer. Debunking Earth spin. At number 2, you've got gas pressure without a container. Might as well slip it in as a housekeeping question, as we haven't had it yet. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure, that's the stuff we're all breathing, without any containment. Next to this 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum, without anything stopping the gas which wants to expand in all directions, filling the available space as per the second law of thermodynamics. Any evidence of that?
You know, the air is reluctant to leave the Earth.
Where are we up to with the rebellious gas particle story?
Yes. Well, what about if I just introduced Sperschimo's original argument? What if just the air went up and up and up and it cooled off so much that it would literally start to solidify? So it would turn into a physical particle, then fall down again, I guess? And
kind of like a gas cycle.
Until it heats up enough to stop being a solid particle. And it would basically then kind of hang suspended. Maybe there could be a solid dome purely made of frozen gas.
Hold on. Held suspended, like clouds. Yeah, you're describing the gas cycle of water currently. However, where to have this cycle, did you get the gas pressure in the first place, Arwin? Where did that come from?
What? No, that's not... I haven't even made a claim yet.
Yeah, you baller! No. To have gas pressure, gradients, and cycles, you must first have gas pressure, correct?
Yes.
Where did that come from?
Well, it might be stuck within a container of which the solid edges of that container within which the gas is might be the same product, the same gas, but so cold that it is frozen into a solid barrier up to a certain point.
Right, like a container. While your speculation is fascinating, let's just give it a conspiracy cats quote. Without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote. Conspiracy cats, 2019. It's a necessary antecedent. To have gas pressure, first you must have containment.
There is another chapter though to the rebellious gas particles. They must have set up another faction, right? Because apparently the Earth's atmosphere extends past the moon, right? So now we got gas particles that stay here on the Earth, and then we got ones that just chill out, past the moon. Like I think it's 391,000 miles.
Actually,
no. The gas is orbiting the moon.
Again, the question.
Actually, chocolate, it's 264,000 miles it extends to, because that's a new radius.
Yeah, good segue. So moving on to the R value. Any evidence of Earth radius?
Black Swan.
Perfect timing. So
Nope.
Top 2 now. Gas pressure without a container. Necessary antecedent container. That debunks space. There is no outer space. And the R value, giving you your astronomical distances to require this massive void, i.e. vacuum called outer space, is the R value. And that too, the begging the question fallacy that used to be justified by them as we're allowed to beg the question we already know, i.e. the textbook definition of the begging the question fallacy is their justification for the begging the question fallacy, has also been debunked by the Black Swan. Can't beg the question. The model's untenable. The R value's broken. We broke it.
I just thought of this real quick as a side note with the Black Swan. Has anybody overlaid the two images so that you can fade the horizon in the distance over the shortened horizon and show what's actually there? You understand what I'm saying?
I don't know. It's an interesting folly.
Do you want to look at me model? I've been.
Wait. I'm sorry, Bev. Did you just say that's an interesting folly?
Correct.
And
yeah.
What pray tell could that ever mean?
You know what folly is?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're incorrect.
What's a folly? What's a folly?
It's an error.
No.
A folly is something silly, something that's not correct.
It's a foolish waste of time.
Yeah,
a folly is actually an architectural description of something that's built with no purpose. So if at the end of your garden you have a building that's a little tower, doesn't have a clock or a bell or anything, it's just a building, that's a folly. So it's very nice to look at and very interesting to ponder, but really has no use.
Okay, so maybe you don't understand the concept then. So when you have the image on the right that does not show the distance in the background or the horizon, okay, that's the reality in that time, in that moment when that picture was taken, snapshot, click, that's the reality that you see. The reality that you can't see is what the Black Swan shows you, that's always there. So I don't believe that it's folly, because the distortion due to refraction in the image where there is no distant horizon, that's the obstruction that blocks the distant horizon that is actually there.
Okay, and what's the conclusion?
It's the same conclusion that you guys have. I was just saying it would be an interesting contrast just to look to see and show what the refraction does to distance and objects and proximity.
Okay, what's the conclusion we have?
I'm sorry?
What's our conclusion? You said it's the same.
What is your conclusion of the Black Swan?
Yes.
Let's see. What is your conclusion of the Black Swan? I think that basically the argument goes against the geometric horizon, which claims that at the elevation of 1 foot, that the geometric horizon should be 1.22 miles away, but we see it past 9. So
but they don't see the geometric horizon.
No.
Unless they rebuttal Owen. Hold on.
I didn't say that they saw it. I'm just saying that I believe that's the conclusion that the Black Swan leads to. Am I incorrect?
You're not incorrect, but how is that the same as studying refraction levels at the horizon? It's not the same conclusion.
No, nor did I say that it was. I wasn't making that claim either. I wasn't making them dynamically equivalent.
Fair
I was
enough.
just saying that it's a different facet.
Okay, I'm just going to do a quick few shout-outs. So, first and foremost, shout out to Helen Degenerates, who's joined as a penguin. No, a hyena. Sorry, my bad. So, shout out to my latest hyena, Helen Degenerates. Really appreciate you joining. Check out the Uncut After Show, which comes out straight after the live show. You get a notification as a member, so check it out. And also shout out to Godzilla37. It still amazes me that this obvious reality of living on a spinning wet ball rocket in an endless vacuum of space is so impossible to prove. Right on. And you also send another super chat. Godzilla37, thank you very much indeed for the second super chat. Even more amazing is that Glober's unwavering cognitive dissonance when he fails to do so. He or she. Indeed. Yeah, the cognitive dissonance is what we describe when we say share your pain. That's what we mean. We have identified their cognitive dissonance, and that does manifest in terms of cognitive pain. It's not easy to process two things that are in contradiction and hold both at the same time. That's acrobatics that's painful to do. But thank you very much for your super chat, Godzilla. Really appreciate your support. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Oh, do you not want to have a look at me me model.
Oh,
Travis
sorry, I totally
cut me
forgot.
off,
And you
didn't
have
he?
got it up and now. Yes, indeed. Let's have a little look.
I'm sorry, Bev.
Yeah. Well, it goes along with your horizon, right? Everybody knows that the horizon is parallel to horizontal, and as the fighter said, fighting the flat Earth said, level being horizontal implies flat Earth, right? So, in the vein of what I'm doing is got a water level test to show everyone that level is in fact horizontal. So, like the flat Earth are sort of helping us really by making everyone aware that they are actually living on a flat Earth. He's helping us really. So, is it up on screen now?
It is indeed.
Right. Well, the outside, the green one. Can you see that? Like, try and get the mic over here. Can you see that? The green pipe is split off in the middle.
Yes.
Goes to there, and the ones at the side check the level at the center. Right. So the question is there a scale to this? I mean, I'd say not. I mean, but the ballers say this horizontal that these have here is a local. Well, I would say there's no scale to this, and you can scale this up. Like, I get some water, and I'll put it in this center one here. Watch the ones at the outside. Both this one here and that one over there change.
Didn't take long, eh?
The level of that changes. Now, you could do that with 2 miles, make this one 2 miles long and these ones 1 mile. No distance that you could move that one and that one apart would make this one rise. They're all on the same level and all on the same horizontal.
Can I ask a question? Somebody asserted from the Discord server a few days ago that if you scaled this up, the accuracy would actually increase.
Well, I mean, it's horizontal. I mean, you can't get more accurate than a level, can you? I mean, that is what makes a level. I mean, the water level is the water level, right? This level's a bubble level, and you've got a floating laser level there as well. I mean, they all do exactly the same thing, but this one's natural.
Okay, so
these ones are all man-made.
It ties together, Bev.
It looks really good, man.
You've got a couple of different surveyors, right? So, do the globe surveyors use these principles, or do they use a different principle because obviously they're accounting for it being spherical?
Do you know what? I don't want to badmouth anybody and all of that, but I mean, this is what surveying principles are bound on, right? The only people that you hear of are the globe surveyors, and they say this has got a curvature in it, 8 inches. I seriously don't know what's going on.
No. But they're using the same tools that use the same principles. While they might say that, when they're actually mapping out their tangent plane, they're using these principles to actually do the work once they've presupposed they're on a sphere, correct?
Yeah, they're using all of these tools. They're the same tools that measure distances and levels. I mean, yeah, there's not one of the tools that they'll use to do any surveying will
Sorry to interrupt. Who are they? Just be specific.
Well, specific with Jesse Kozlowski, the main surveyor. You've got Aaron Burrell. I mean, they're the only few. I mean, and maybe that Larry Scott. They're the only surveyors that I've ever heard, and they seem to say, or they have loads of information that they just make you look at that says there's a 8-inch drop. Like, if you was to do this over 2 miles, then this one here, supposedly on their model, is 8 inches higher than the 2 green ones at the other end. But that would make this one 8 inches higher than this one here. And That's not how level works. I mean, logically, it just doesn't work. So, I don't know. I'm confused with the globe surveyors, because logic is logic, and these globers seem to have lost it.
But all you're describing is them
horizontal.
All you're describing, though, is them telling you to imagine that over a longer distance this would not apply anymore. However, despite them telling you that and presupposing, based on WGS 84 or Earth-centered, Earth-fixed, what do they call, datums, they're going to presuppose they're on a sphere and say, well, I'm now pointing to this point at the centre of Earth. And from there forward, they're going to use this equipment with its level being level to actually do any work. So while they might sit on a Discord server or a G+ hangout saying, well, actually, Earth's curving away from you at 8 inches per mile squared. And the only reason they'd say that is because their presupposition when they map out where their tangent point or their tangent plane is when they look at their datum. In other words, when they presuppose the Earth is a sphere. But from that point forward, when they're actually doing the measurements, they use these tools and Euclidean principles, with level being level and horizontal and vertical holding true always when they actually do anything. That's both surveyors, planar and geodetic surveyors.
Yeah. They will input this data onto a model. That model may be called a geoid or whatever, but whenever they take that data back and put it on plans and everything, it will be transposed back into a horizontal plane again. So it's only ever curving in the imaginary model. Whenever you get to use it practically, it all comes back to level is horizontal again. It's got to, hasn't it? I mean,
well, Bev, what you're saying is exactly what the Association of American Geographers document said, that they must embrace the fiction in their science in order to hold the globe view. Because what you're showing is there really is, and it doesn't work on the globe. So they say, well, we must embrace the fiction in our science. So they're holding two positions.
Also an oxymoron. You don't have fiction in science. You have an assumption of cause prior to doing an experiment, and then you confirm or disprove your assumption. That's science. This assumption in science and embracing the fiction, it's just basically a declaration that they're not using science. Embrace the fiction in our pseudoscience is how that should... Bev is on the lev, says Cleary. I'm sure there was another super chat just before Bev goes back on. Yes, also Rob Parker. Being a flat earther, I think that means, for 40 years. Wow, Rob. Excellent stuff.
Can I just say that over on Emma UK later on tonight, I'm going to go over all of this stuff and what I've got planned. You know, we've got a bit more to show. What, you know, how we can how you can prove that obvious facts are true, right? Level is horizontal. We've got some more tests, and I'd like to invite everyone round. If you want to come and listen and ask any questions or anything like that, we'll go over it, and then we're going to put it out as a proper thing once everybody's sort of okay on it. So that'll be later on tonight, about 9:30ish, something like that, UK. And then we'll go live and we'll put this. We'll see. I mean, I don't really think this needs to be shown or proved or anything. It shows itself. But I mean, we can run this as a physical test. If we run this as the green one as a mile and these ones as half a mile, then there should be a 2-inch difference here at the center. There won't be because it's horizontal, obviously. But I mean, the test can be done, and all it is hose pipe. So anyone can do this test. And I'll be taking it round to some surveyors as well to see what they think.
I'm going to spam the link to Emma UK, just a random video, so you can find her channel. Did you say it's on tonight? Do you know what time?
Well, no, it's about tonight, about 9:30. I'll be running through it with any flat earthers that want to come over and ask any questions or anything like that about it.
Okay, so it's 9 p.m. UK time, and that's 3 p.m. Central Standard on Emma UK channel. Bev, try thinking, going through this information in more detail. As I say, I've spammed a link to Emma UK channel. Go there immediately and subscribe. Anything else you want to add?
Emma's ace.
Emma is ace, that's correct. Any more, Bev?
No, that'll do. I mean, I'll bring you when we get the big thing going, and when I'll keep you updated.
Well, before I take you off screen, thank you very much for sharing that with us, Bev. Really, really appreciate it. Nice surprise.
Thank you.
Oh, Rumpus is already giving a comment about it in chat.
That's fascinating. Surplus to requirements, Arwin. Do we get the answer, distance to the sun? Any
This
evidence?
is not needed.
Go on, Neil.
I said rumpus is not needed anymore.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun? We'll get there.
Nope.
Get there.
No.
Never.
Assumption
Whatever it
after
is.
assumption after assumption. That's it.
Great.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Never seen it.
Assumption after assumption after assumption.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
The reification fallacy known as gravity.
It's... Nope.
Last but by no means least, any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Looking at stuff, writing stuff down. Yes.
Right. You look at it, you make a story about it, you cross-reference the story with other stories made about it, then you go to your colleagues and you ask, you think this is good enough? And they'll say, yeah, they'll bite. Then you send in the story and yeah, you get approved or not. You've done science.
And then you know what? You know what you do after that? You do the same thing the next day at the same time, and then you have manipulated time as your independent variable. Yeah, bro, science.
Yeah, also you can say that you've done it systematically and therefore you're conforming to the method in that way because you've done it more than once.
See, yep.
Yeah, check my email
repeat
3
the same
times.
mistake over and over again.
Yep. Check my email to see if I'd had the peer review confirmed or not. I did that systematically.
So basically, systematic assumption.
I think
It's
that's
a
another
systematic
type of system. That's a computer system.
Yeah, people often refer to repeating things as though it makes it scientific. No, systematic experimentation. Repeating the actualization of a hypothesis again and again. That's what the systematic aspect refers to. Not repeating a photograph, for example.
So you can't basically manipulate a computer system
I'm sure you can, but
systematically.
not really an independent variable.
Yeah, it's kind of man-made device too.
Right.
What? Nobody has an apple growing in their backyard?
Boom, boom!
Oh,
That concludes the housekeeping on that note.
Oh. How fast is your core?
Boom, boom! So did we get any
Nathan,
resolve
I
in
got-
terms of Euclid in me being completely half-inched by Neil?
I haven't gone on yet, but Euclidean under.
I heard him cut off halfway through his explanation, didn't you? Sounds familiar, right? Mike stops being active when they say the most important detail.
Why does that always happen? I listen
dunno.
back to the show, and all my stuff.
Yeah, it happened again.
Yeah, there you go. Nathan, I've got 20 pictures in Master B. We can walk through the first set of 10 and walk through the second set of 10 on that star trail and all that. We talked if you want, or we can save it till Monday.
No, definitely do it now. Perfect. Okay, I've got it up on screen.
All right, so I'm going to go to the screen and watch what you have here on my phone because I can't see it on my head. All right, so here's a picture off the internet of someone in the ISS. I believe it's Chris Hadfield, I'm not certain, but he wrote a book and it's easy to find out who it was. But one of those astronauts has this picture, and you can see the ISS is there, and you can see the concentric star trail, and then you could see the Earth is rotating. And this is a fantastic picture that they're in space and the Earth is turning.
That's impossible.
Well, hang on. There's a few things about this that you got to see. Some of the concentric circles on the left side of the screen don't match well. That's number one. Number two, if the Earth is turning underneath the ISS, it also must be turning under a helicopter at this point, but they don't want to give into that one. So let's go to the next one.
But can I comment, please?
No, there's plenty. There's plenty.
No.
At the end, Darwin, yes, at the end.
You can move it to the next shot. Oh,
I have.
Sorry, I was on pause. It kept staying on the same picture. All right, so you see that the arm or something from the ISS is clear. It's not blurred, obviously. So we're going to be able to come back to this in a second, towards the end, much like the person in the car you're going to see, the dashboard, that is. But there it is. There's the concentric circles and then the Earth moving. Next one, please. And here's another. We're just validating what they say is happening. Keep going. So now we got into the fast lane here. And obviously, based on the way they think, to the left is the North Pole or South Pole, and to the right is the North Pole, South Pole, because we got some straight stars going there. But look what's underneath here. That's the Earth supposedly turning. All right. One more, please. Let's get to terra firma. Oh, but down below, assuming everything is truth, we're seeing the concentric circles, and we're on the non-inertial reference frame here, right? And so the rocks aren't blurry and the hillsides focus. That's because the camera's on the tripod. And if you were to jar that camera, then the rocks would be blurry and the hillsides would show some kind of streaking. That's pretty obvious. I hope everyone sees that. Next. Here's another one. You can go to the next one. Same thing. The mountain's not blurry. Now, this is interesting because you've got a windmill and it's spinning. The prop is spinning, but the stabilizing factor, much like the tripod for the camera of the windmill, is not. But we catch the concentric star trails and the windmill spinning, but the Earth is not spinning at this point. Next. Well, here's a fella who's got some kind of rope or line and a light on sparklers or something, and obviously you can see that it's left a trail here. Next. A couple of kids with sparklers doing the same thing. And you could see, if you focused in, if you blew it up on the kids, that they're moving a little bit. But here we're at the carnival. There's people standing, but the rides are in motion. So the camera with the star trail photography mode really does prove a lot of things, as we've seen along this journey of pictures. The things that aren't moving aren't blurry, and the things that are moving are leaving trails. Let's move on. So now I want to show you how they say these things are possible to take these pictures and get the images. You need a stable tripod like this. Next. The camera's on it. I mean, these are stuff I took off the internet of people who do this for a living and sell their, artwork and so forth. Not artwork, but their pictures, their photography. Now, imagine if you bumped this camera while you were in the 2.5-hour mode Star Trail program. Do you think that might cause a blur if you bumped into this camera or you were just tapping on the tripod with your fingers?
Yeah, it would.
I think the answer is pretty pretty obvious.
Same goes for just looking through something through a telescope. You don't want to touch it.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And also, if you took your iPhone or your Android and took a picture of someone and someone bumped you, I think you said, no, let me do that again. Someone bumped me, because it's all blurry. Next. Well, what is this? These are airplanes and an airport. Go to the next one. Is the airport moving or are the airplanes moving?
Airplanes.
Good.
That's amazing. That.
Next one.
The tapestry of the airport.
Love this one. Notice the building's not moving. But whatever is moving does leave a star trail type of image. Anything moving will leave a trail is the key. Next one. We've seen these before. Cars in either direction, red lights, tail lights. Next. Someplace in England, the double-decker bus is coming through. The telephone booth is not moving. This is in a car, and notice how focused the front hood of the car is, because the camera is on in the car, moving with the car, but look at everything else around it. Next one. This is very interesting here, because the next one I believe will prove my point. You can zoom in at the speedometer and the dash, and very little movement, if anything, here, unless the guy's moving, but it's a nice picture of everything else moving and everything in the car being focused. Next one. Now, this is the one I want you to manipulate a little bit. I want you to look at the woman's glasses in the passenger seat, and it's blurry. I want you to look at her iPhone. It's blurry. The guy who's driving the car, his ear is blurry. But if you focus in on the dashboard and the speedometer, it's not, and the outside is moving, much like the woman is moving, and the guy is moving, and it causes the blur.
Perfect.
I think that's the last one.
Yeah, I think that's the last one. Perfect. Did you want to
Go ahead, Arwin.
Just hold on. Just before Arwin just jumps in, can you make a just quick concluding statement? Then we'll get questions from Arwin or whoever on Discord.
Yes. My concluding statement is that if something is moving, this time-lapse photography does show, as we've shown in many examples here. So we have one from the supposed violation of the second law of well, it is a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, outer space. And we have astronaut and NASA showing us pictures of star trails that don't have full concentric circles because they were also going sideways on itself, as you saw in that one picture. So something's wrong there. And then you've got the Earth turning. So now the Earth is turning here. So it's showing it by the lights underneath, right? But the ISS, mind you, is going 17,500 miles per hour as well. Okay, so then we take that, and when we go with that and we say, how does that work if you're on the Earth looking up at these concentric star trails, and you're finding out that if something is moving, it's always going to leave a trail whenever it's in a star trail mode, photographic mode. And we saw at the airport that the Earth is not turning, because if it was, other things would blur, especially the star trail photography on the Earth would blur, because the Earth is moving, turning 1,000 miles at the equator and 66,000 miles around the sun. And then, of course, the other two movements, solar system and the Milky Way. And you would have that affect the tripod and the camera. And the star trail would have a line going across it opposite, and it doesn't.
Perfect. We'll get some questions.
Oh God! All right, can I just say this? This is just going to take 1 minute. I just need 1 minute to say this.
Oh, no need, no swearing, no brendering. Right, shout out to Brendan Toy, who says, shameless plug for my video, Breaking Cavendish's Balls, dropping today at 2 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. London time. Be here or be sphere on the Brandon Toy channel. Arwin, who's been waiting longer. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I had a question. Could you maybe explain that all again, 10th man? For fuck's sake, dude. No,
you gotta be freaking kidding me.
You didn't have to last 10 minutes for that.
Moving on to Babs.
The first thing, my actual question that I'm gonna ask now was the first picture immediately proved that the ISS is not an object moving over the Earth, because then you could never even have any circles like that at all, any circle. Because that only happens in a stationary situation. It would all be a circle over circle over circle, or not even a circle, just blurred out stars, rather in a stripe fashion, sort of cyclic. So that whole picture, a prolonged picture on the ISS, could never form circular star trails. That's a physical impossibility.
That's the whole point, Arvin.
Yeah, that's his point. Well summarized. Hold on, Chocolate. Go ahead, Babs. Well summarized, Darwin. Thank you.
5 hours later. All right, so the ISS Oh my God, I can't even speak.
Go ahead, Babs.
Seriously, guys, what the hell is going on?
Oh, come on, save your protestations, please.
All right, so the ISS is in geosynchronous rotation with Earth. So that means that it's rotating with Earth's rotation. It's synchronized with Earth's rotation.
No, it isn't.
So the star trails are going to look the same.
No, it isn't. Hello. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's not traveling at the same speed. Geosynchronous means that it's above a claim to be rotating Earth and rotating at the exact same rate. That would mean you'd only ever see one thing from the ISS ever. So no, it's not. It's not claimed to be in geo. It's claimed to be in a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum.
It is 90 minutes to a complete. Yeah, Bev. It's also
what does
they say that it does a complete orbit every 90 minutes.
Yeah,
right.
And
definitely
an
not.
average star trail takes 2.5 hours.
Right,
so.
Definitely not geosynchronous, Bev. Babs. Sorry, Bev.
Yeah. Yeah, that star trail there is impossible. For you to even imagine that it's possible, they've done something to your head.
Filled it with globe nonsense.
Let me say something. I took this image, as well as others like this, and I sent it by email to, I think, 3 of these professional photographers. And I asked them, how is this possible? And I listed, you got to assume that the ISS is moving at 17,500 miles per hour. The Earth is rotating, and we got the star trails. How is this even possible for all these things to be here? I didn't get one answer back.
I was going to say, don't you have to see stars to have star trails? All the years that I've seen these ISS live streams, I've never once seen them with stars in them. All this screams to me is they just threw it in afterwards.
2020 chocolate. They're doing it now. They had one the other day showing that comet. Yeah, they've got the comet coming up over the Neo, whatever it is.
Right,
they stepped
this
the
is a
game
startup
up.
error, is it? This is just a startup error, then. They're trying it out. They got it wrong. Oops.
Yeah, but that's weird, because Mr. Chris Hadfield will say that he saw stars, and then it's extremely bright, and then sometimes say it's complete black.
Well, both Arwen and Bev have very good points, and it's the whole point of the presentation and showing stuff from Earth and the airplanes and everything else is this. To take a concentric circle star trail like this, 2.5 hour mode with a P900, and you get 10 seconds of footage. That's how long it takes. It's just to get that. And this is I have that. I have that image, but it took me 2.5 hours to get, because those trails take time to get, that concentric circle of that one star takes time. Then you've got the Earth going this way. And then Arwen's point was saying, wait a minute, you're in the thing moving 17,500 and you're able to take a star trail like a tripod on a still Earth? Impossible. It'd be blurry.
And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
It's just that I was really biting my tongue, and then Nathan proceeded to ask, like, "Tenth, can you summarize that again?" And it's like, but it was a good presentation, and I totally get now why you took your time, because it costed you a lot of time, and so it's basically a time-based revenge. I get it.
I think you should still do it. You should do it the other way round, though. 10th. You should end up with the impossible ones that prove the ISS. They're faking it.
No, I did that anyway. A good presentation starts with a description of what you're going to be told. Then you tell the people what you're going to tell them. And then you summarise what you've just told them. That's a good presentation. And that, by a little bit of nudging from me, was precisely what we just got. That was an excellent presentation. Thank you very much, 10th Man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's actually, I didn't do it. My wife did it, Armin. I just was.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that. It's the actual photography. Sure. I haven't seen your hands on that camera.
He doesn't do the cooking either. It's all his wife.
It's my wife.
10th Man dishes. It's all a fraud. It's just his wife doing it.
No.
10th knows how to film a good meal. Come on.
Yeah, how to film a good meal.
I've been exposed. Oh, lovely. Well, this is why I responded a couple of weeks ago when Chemo said that's globe proof. Star Trail photography is globe proof. I go, what the heck is he talking about? Who's talking?
Golden Spanner. I've just muted him.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I had a text from Chemo because I put up Star Trail something, I can't remember, and I think it was my channel. I posted it, and he goes, "This is globe proof," and I go, "What the heck does it mean by that?" And then you and me were waiting for him. He never came, Nathan. But after today, I hope he wouldn't think it's globe proof.
They just throw it out there, baseless assertion style. They don't give you any example or description of how it proves anything. Just, here's a picture, it proves globe. Standards are really low for their side. You know, really, really low.
Yeah, it is. I wonder, I'm not asking him to come on, but I'm going to mention his name. Rump is saying scaredy cat and all that in chat. But the problem is he's never answered any of the questions we've put to him directly, like, why would the Association of American Geographers put out a document saying we must embrace the fiction in our science? And the whole thing has to do about mapping and geography and fictitious effective radius and fictitious this and the fictitious that. I thought we were science. I thought this was proven.
It isn't. So do we need him to say, when they say embrace the fiction in science, that's an oxymoron and there is no fiction in science? It's either established cause or disproven. That's it. Upon systematic experimentation, you validate or invalidate your hypothesis. That's it. No fiction to embrace. So as soon as they disclaim that, that's the end of their assertion. Clearly pseudoscience then.
Yeah, it's just that all these things that QE cites, or Bev or Chocolate or Arwen and Anthony, especially with his digging up stuff on, the JPL Bob, who says, oh, it is. And then everybody says, okay, even though we don't think it is, it is. They stay away from these citations and these references because they're so contradictory. I mean, you can't have fiction in science. I mean, right there, you got to throw away that whole thing and say, if they're going to say this openly and put it in print, then what can I trust them on?
That's the ultimate question. When we have Spurs, I know he's here at the moment, but people like Spurs, your question is perfect. What can I accept? What can I trust? And the answer is, well, if it's being told to you that it's a fiction that you need to embrace, you have to make a decision. Do I want to embrace this fiction? Me personally. But you can take that too far and go, should other people embrace this fiction? Well, they haven't come across this information. Now, can you highlight the information? Yeah. And they can take it or leave it. But that's where your bit ends. The sort of flat earth evangelism we see is, for me, it's just a step too far. Yeah, you can expose this, you can show your journey, you can see what you've exposed and expose it to other people. But whether or not they take that on board, or even they do take it on board and go, no, but I want to embrace the fiction. And here's how the fiction works. And that's their justification for the embracement of the fiction that you've showed them. And, at that point, what do you do for that lost soul? Nothing is the answer. You can't do anything for them.
Exactly. I'm with you on that because if I could just use as an example, when I read the Bible and I see how Christ told his disciples to preach the gospel to the ends of the earth, he wasn't saying go and convert. He's saying go and proclaim the gospel, go spread the good news, because in other places it says that God only converts. So man can't convert or evangelize in that sense where I could twist someone and make them do something compulsory, let's put it. That's not the way God works in the Bible. It's we proclaim, we share, and then, like you said, it's up to that person, and in this case, between him and the maker. I agree 100%.
Hey, by the way, to Quantum Eraser and Brian.
What's beeping, yo?
All good. I don't know what the beeping was in the last few shows. Get into an important discussion and suddenly there's all sorts of beep, beep, beep from people in Discord. Don't know what it is. It's not a sound effect.
Oh, yeah. I've noticed that too on several Discord hangouts. Yep.
Yeah. Because it's not a Discord sound.
Is that ever coming from my mic? Because my mic's been doing that every once in a while. I'm not sure why. My headphones or something.
Could be you.
Travis.
It's probably you. Could be you. Yeah. No, it's somebody else. I don't know what it is, but it's not just you, Chocolate.
I've only heard about it complained in Discord, though.
I bet it's Travis.
I bet it's Travis too.
You want to step outside, Neil?
Even when he's not here.
Hey, might have an issue tomorrow with Ball Butcher. Don't mean to bring up business, but I may have a personal thing I have to take care of tomorrow. I'll let you know this evening.
It's Reddit. That's the good thing about having your own YouTube channel. You don't have to do a show.
Yeah. I like to stay on schedule, but something may pop up. I'm anticipating it popping up, so
just
want to let you know.
These things happen.
What's cracking, dog? What's cracking?
Something might start peeping. It's sleeping now, but it could start peeping.
Yeah, because if they're not
So
peeping, they
Nathan's
sleep.
available.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to put that verse I wrote. Try to put it to some type of a beat.
Mic check. Can you guys hear me?
Oh God.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can definitely hear you, Travis.
Yes, sir.
Oh. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry.
Morning. Who is that? Ryan?
What's up, man?
Yeah, right.
Hello.
Where are all the
Speak
globies
up!
kicking down the door,
Hey,
telling us how stupid we are? I don't understand.
yeah. Well, I might give them a little snippet because I just looked at the 10th man's picture again, and I realized that I might have been sort of incorrect with my statement, because if they were actually pointing the camera, well, north in this case, on the presupposed ISS, yeah, I guess that if you would fly in a plane over the equator, roughly pointing it constantly north, not changing your angle, right? Well, then you might actually see something like that if you could keep it really stable, because the Earth does, like, the lines do correlate. They're going the same direction. I thought that they were like perpendicular, and that would make any sense, but they're not. So, but it's still very bizarre that now suddenly we can see stars. Anyway,
They had to step their game up.
right.
Can't have astronauts not knowing whether or not they can see stars, and then some telling you both. That makes no sense.
Arwen, let me put it to you this way. If my tripod on Earth with the camera was moving at 17,500 miles, can I get that star trail picture?
If you were like at the equator and it was very, very stable and point, yeah. Well,
No,
in
if I-
a plane, not on a
if-
car, that wouldn't work.
Come on, Arwen. If my tripod is not still, I can't get that star trail concentric imagery ever.
Right, but you forget that they're presupposing this thing is suspended in space in a gravity equilibrium, whatever. It's not real, of course, but that would give it its stability because there's no outside influence changing or vibrating it or something. So theoretically, with their presuppositions, it could be possible.
Wait a second. What the heck are you guys talking about? You said 17,000. His tripod's moving at what speed?
Yeah, on the Earth, it's not very likely. And up there, it's not very likely because that can't actually happen. But if it was able to happen, then yeah, it would kind of look like that.
That answered my question. What did you say? What speed?
Go to Master
was the
B. Go to
tripod going?
John, go to Master B. Look at the first set of 10
I'm
slides.
I'm not in Skype.
Well, that's where you're going to see what he's talking about.
Well, that doesn't answer my question. My question was, how in the world are you going to get a tripod going at what, 17,000 miles an hour? Do you know how fast that is?
Well,
Turbo
we're
boost.
Can someone
looking at
just
a
answer him,
picture.
for God's sake? Can someone just give him a straight answer?
We're looking at a picture supposedly taken from the ISS, which is stated at going 17,500 miles.
Thank
that
you.
show perfect star trail.
I'm no photographer. I'm not a camera expert, but that's a tear-jerking belly laugher.
That's what.
If somebody can show otherwise, how could you do that?
Couldn't.
Impossible.
Moreover,
Chocolate
the
point.
ISS supposed to be?
damn you, chocolate! Damn you! Damn you! Damn you! Damn you! I was just about to say that.
That's usually my line.
Go on, say it
I
with
like
clear air. Hold on,
chocolate's,
everyone clear the air for
insight.
chocolate. Hold on, everyone clear the air for chocolate. Let it at least come through clearly once.
Where are those? Where's the ISS supposed to be again?
It's claimed to be in a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum with all that high pressure gas down here, not expanding. It's amazing that they think it would come up to about here, where this green imaginary line is. But there you go. It's not expanding into this 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum space that it has available for it to fill. That's what they claim. It's taken from a second law of thermodynamics violation.
Yeah, and it's falling perpetually in a circle around the globe.
Yeah,
you notice what else there is in them pictures as well?
Just before you,
I think
Bev, hold on. Just repeat that again, Arwin.
Yeah, it's also falling perpetually in a circle around the globe.
There's a word for that. It's called orbit, and it's another begging the question fallacy, automatically assuming that this CGI rendering of nonsense is falling perpetually around a presupposed sphere Earth. That's a begging the question fallacy. As soon as you hear the word orbit, same as hemisphere, just say, you're just begging the question. Just automatically assuming that rocks fall around a sphere Earth with this word orbit. Sorry, Bev, go ahead.
In them pictures, they've added like I think it's a atmosphere band. It's on all of them now. They've got a layer over the top of the curve that they put there. What they're doing is they're just preparing
refraction.
Yeah, they're just preparing the kids now for because this is what the kids are seeing, and that they'll know no better. I mean, if we didn't have the P1000, P900 with the star trail button on it, that I wouldn't even understand this. But because we've got a P1000, P900, and you chuck it outside in your back garden when the stars are out there, and you press that button and leave it to do it, you go, "Whoa, that's cool! I like that." If you hadn't have done that, then I suppose you'd be like Babs, and it's still a possibility. You know, like you can understand that it's a nice picture and it looks good.
It's someone
got
saying
the
my
ISS in it, and so it must be, right? Ridiculous. Poor kids.
Were you talking directly to Babs, Bev?
Well, Babs was saying that, it's still a possibility, isn't it? That, when Babs looked at that, nothing clicked that there might have been something wrong with it. But if you have ever done a star trail, then that's pretty obvious that that's just wrong.
Okay, go ahead, Babs.
Yeah, okay, so I looked up whether the ISS was or wasn't in geosynchronous orbit. It is, but hang on one sec. Nathan brought up a good point.
What?
That if it actually... Oh my God. If it is in geosynchronous orbit, we would only see one thing, but we don't. We see Earth rotating from the ISS. So it's not in geosynchronous orbit.
That's what I said. Hello? That's what I said.
Preposterous.
That's exactly what I said.
I'm just clarifying that point.
Hold on a second. Are you saying
geosynchronous isn't
ISS was in geosync? Is that what you said?
Yeah. He came on the live show and said that the ISS was claimed to be in geosynchronous orbit, and I was like, no, it isn't. No, definitely not.
All right, let me bring a citation.
Hold on, Kiwi. Go ahead, Babs.
No, I said, let me get the citation where I got that from.
I don't. You can pile up 5,000 citations, dude.
No, but that's awesome. Because look, there's a citation that says it's in geosynchronous orbit, but yet their story, their backstory is it orbits the Earth every 90 minutes. So
man, I can top that easily. I've got a picture on screen
Where
right
is
now
this ISS anyway?
with a green force field over Earth. It's pretty badass.
Hey, Nathan, I just put one picture. Can you go to the one picture in Master B and look at how the stars are crossing? I've never seen this in any star trail picture from anybody do this.
What, you mean the ones that are overlapping the green funk layer and going in different directions to the other stars crossing over?
Yeah, left-hand side of the picture. Look at that.
Yeah, I've got it.
Crazy.
Do you understand that the ISS? What's the speed of the ISS? Allegedly.
Same as my tripod, 17,500
17,500
miles.
No, it bloody isn't.
Really?
That's just bullshit.
How fast is the Earth supposedly rotating?
1,000
at the equator.
So please
1,024.
bring all the citations.
Sorry, the ISS is not moving at 17,000 miles an hour above a spinning ball Earth. Number one, it's in a second law of thermodynamics violation. So, no, whatever that light is that we see, it's definitely not this mechanical piece of crap that they claim is up in a sky vacuum violation of natural law. Definitely not. This is just bullshit.
Just saying that speed, like people think that other people are in a tin can flying around the Earth at 17,500 miles per hour.
What they're told.
I mean, if you do, I got a bridge I can sell you. I got horizons. What you need, man? Let me know.
Yeah.
Fine. It's falling.
And by the way, the Hollywood sign is for sale. Anybody needs to buy that piece of property? I've got the documentation.
Maybe it's not a.
Sorry. Go on, Neil. Go on.
I said maybe it's not.
Still from that can, you can see the Earth.
The broken mics of Discord. Try and keep on push to talk till after you finish speaking.
And don't interrupt us when we try to start speaking.
Count three.
Can I spend a little more time?
Maybe.
Who the hell said that it's in geosync?
Babs.
ISS. I know
Over
it's
to you,
not
Babs.
there, but let's stick here.
Babs.
This is
I did
just
say
common
that.
sense. Hello?
They changed the terminology. It's now geosynchronous. It used to be geostationary orbit, but that has some slightly unnerving connotations if you're a globehead. Geostationary. Oh, that's not a good word. Yeah, I better change that. Geosynchronous.
All right.
They're two different.
Define the terms and let's get on with it.
Oh, I'm being corrected. Hold on.
Geostationary, please.
I'm being corrected. Are they two different things? Did I hear? Pressed on.
Yes, sir. They are two.
Can you explain the difference to me?
I'm actually not at the not at the terminal right now. But you can do a simple Google search.
Oh, thank you. So that was very useful.
That was helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, hey, I'm giving you a piece of it, but you can.
So geostationary, obviously is the one like 36 supposed kilometers, 1,000 kilometers above. They appear to hover, so they don't move. They're like stars. And geosynchronous, they go along with the rotation of the Earth, but they move across the sky. In other words, I think they have like a pole-to-pole trajectory. So they rotate at the same speed, but they have like also lateral direction. I think that's the difference.
What rotates at the same speed? The alleged satellites rotate at the same speed in geosync?
Well, yeah, so they're both geosynced, but one is above the equator, which is geostationary. Another one is moving around sort of the Earth on the other axis, like between the poles.
When you say the other one, are you saying it's geostationary?
Geosync. That's my understanding. I'm just reading from
their alma mater.
I didn't say they exist
wiki.
either.
A geostationary orbit, also referred to as a geosynchronous equatorial orbit, is a circular geosynchronous orbit 35,786 kilometers above Earth's equator and following the direction of Earth's rotation.
So pretty much what I said then.
Whatever.
Whatever. Nathan was right. Whatever.
Whatever. It's a cluster screw.
Yep. They're not peeping, dog.
They're not peeping. They have never been peeping. They've been sleeping, and they're going to get a beating.
Anyway, it's all begging the question. Anything with the word orbit attached to it is just a begging the question fallacy. So geosynchronous, geostationary, orbit, it's just a begging the question fallacy.
And where's this supposed to be again?
Perfect timing. It's supposed to be doing this begging the question orbit in a violation of natural law sky vacuum, somewhere that the gas we're breathing quite happily would fill if it existed, but doesn't because it definitely doesn't exist. In other words, the place they're claiming these pictures come from is a fake place, like Narnia. Outer space is fake.
You peeping, dog. Don't friggin' stop peeping that.
What was this to say? The place is Narnia. You can't take pictures from Narnia. Obviously, we've got pictures claimed to be from Narnia, and likewise, we've got pictures claimed to be from this place that violates natural law and can't possibly exist. So they're definitely not real, purely by virtue of them being taken from a place that isn't real, can't be travelled to, and can't exist because it violates natural law. What more can I say? Space is fake. Sky vacuum doesn't exist.
I told you were going to start getting hit with a lot of NASA and ISS claims.
Kiwi, if you can't peep from Narnia, where can you peep from?
But the problem is, Neil, that all they're doing is they're firing wooden arrows into a bonfire. Have some more pictures, yet still from the same fake place, though, isn't it? Well, have more pictures. What, from the same fake place? They're just literally firing arrows into a bonfire.
Can I just say that QE sounds like a very bad undercover narc?
Undercover narc?
Yeah. Like, everybody would know he's not the real deal.
I knew it!
What, QE in the hood?
I've just figured out what you're saying. Yeah, we just need to see QE with a bandana going, "What's peeping, dogs?" Yeah, he doesn't fit in here, does he?
Exactly.
I knew it all along. I didn't want to say anything. I knew it.
5-0.
Dog, you need to stop. Cease it with the peeping.
No.
That's QE.
By the way, bajando means it's going down.
Actually, it's supposed to be what's popping, but yeah.
If you're gonna keep this up, John, I'm gonna call you Peepin' John.
Go on, Dave. What were you going to ask?
No, that guy in that movie. Utah, give me 2. That's QE, undercover narc. Where the surfers were bank robbers.
Johnny Utah.
Oh,
Johnny
that's
Utah.
Point Break, man. That's a
Point
great
Break.
movie, dude.
But Johnny Utah isn't QE. The QE is his boss, the guy he was in the car with.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze?
You're just jealous,
it was
man.
Patrick Swayze and the guy from
That's not Patrick
Predator
Swayze.
2.
Yeah, it is.
Gary Busey, who Mel Gibson asked if he wants a shot at the title.
Yeah, Utah. Give me 2.
Y'all just jealous because I understand things most rappers say because rapping is my thing and I do it every day.
What's going on? What's happening? What's happening?
John just rapped.
Chocolate was a beatbox.
It's getting creepy, John.
It is getting a little bit creepy.
Don't blame me.
Midlife crisis.
Just leave it to us black folk, hey, John?
Word up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because Black Lives Matter.
That's correct.
Black swans matter.
That's right. Black swans matter.
black swans are ace.
It'd be a
Oh,
calm
stop,
moment.
guys. Way too much glow proof coming at us.
I'm gonna say
Whoa.
this feels like a calm moment before the storm, actually.
Where's all the ballers?
Don't start the storm. I got breakfast coming.
Ballers come out to play, eh?
I do see the ballers, the ones that all died here on other channels, perpetuating the same nonsense, demanding that, like the geodetic surveyors, you must presuppose your zenith moves to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth whenever you measure anything. You know, move a little bit and obviously your zenith then changes because we're begging the question. And they get away with doing that elsewhere. So here they don't get away with doing it, so they don't come.
No, they're here. They're just not saying anything. They're very active in chat, though.
Oh, wow. How useful.
What a bunch of brave soldiers, huh?
The other day when the show went off, the guy immediately started talking about Nathan. And I said, well, the show was on, the after show was on, now they're gone, now you talk.
Which guy? Call him out. Is he here?
Call him out, Neil.
Scared shitless.
Y'all grab your mute buttons. Come out and play. What y'all doing saying in the chat?
Maybe you should go through the list of and see if they can find their voice.
Nah, this isn't Ballbusters. It's not that regimented. If they want to come off mute, they will. I don't want to force them. I'm quite happy. I've got my feet up. You know what I mean? I'm more than happy to chit chat about various different movies. More than happy.
Well, here's the thing. Once you leave, I swear to God, they are going to. It's just going to be relentless. They're going to talk about Nathan. They're going to talk about QE, and it's like you guys have a perfect opportunity for dialogue. And I would actually want to hear that dialogue.
They're scared.
All right. It's every day.
Yeah, we're in the winning position. I agree with Nathan. I got my feet up too.
I don't understand how you could ever be quiet. Isn't this the most ridiculous thing in the world? Shouldn't this have been shut down in 5 minutes? Can't any of you guys shut this down in 5 minutes? I don't understand why we're still here debating this crap.
Because they're like vermin, they're like mice. They just keep quiet until things quiet down, and then they come and sniffle out the crumbles.
Like roaches.
Roaches, yeah.
Hey, Nathan, I just loaded another picture. Has it loaded yet? For some reason, I'm not sure if it's done.
No, I've still got the last one as the last one.
All right. Well, this next one's pretty interesting. I'm going to try to resend it. For some reason, the internet's not. Okay, it says connecting.
You share a lot of characteristics with cockroaches. No, you think you've killed them. They're not dead.
And even if you kill all the ones you see, there's like 1,000 more hidden in the walls.
I remember a commercial. They check in, but they don't check out.
Right, Roach Hotel.
God, ballers crawling up the wall. It's creepy.
I got a question. If QE is that other guy, am I Johnny Utah?
You can be Johnny Utah if you want to be. You can think of yourself as being Johnny Utah.
I think I will. Hey, call me Johnny from now on.
Okay, Johnny. Right, I've got your picture up, 10th.
Okay, so you got the picture up. Now, you could see that in this one, there's an overlay of a star trail on the star trail if you look from the middle into the upper half of the picture. Do you see that?
Yeah, there's like two circles. It looks like one's got like, on my frame, an inch between it in depth terms, and then there's another layer of circles over the top of it.
Yeah. So now, there's a couple of things wrong with this. Number one, you win the stars in their paradigm are not that close to us. So how is this possible? Number two, maybe he just jarred his camera, right? And so we got a blur. But then look at the Earth. That blur should have transposed to the Earth, and we don't see any blur on the Earth. So it can't be the camera being jarred.
That was like the special effects guys get lazy.
That's all bogus. Amazing.
Yeah, maybe the camera got knocked. Maybe it's just all bullshit.
Yeah, but if the camera did get knocked, the Earth would also show the same kind of things the two star trails are doing.
Well, that eliminates that option. Just bullshit then.
That's what I wanted you to say.
Hey, Johnny Utah, did you know that the lead singer from the Chili Peppers is in the movie Point?
I do now.
He's the other surfer dude that had the brawl with him and got punched out in the first. Look it up.
Anthony Kiedis you're talking about, isn't it?
That's his name, and he's in Point
Break.
Right,
for anybody who hasn't heard the name of the movie title, because Neil keeps breaking up at the end of every single time he uses his mic. Point Break.
Why is that happening?
You guys still talking about that movie? That's a great movie, man. I've been trying to find that on Netflix. They don't have it. Friggin' punks.
Don't you buy movies? I don't rely on Netflix. I've got a massive library of movies. Go into my hard drive, pull them all up. It took me about 3 months to put all of the... At one point, every wall, every surface in this room was covered in movies. And I had to get them all out because it was just taking up too much space. So I put them...
You got Point Break, man?
Yeah, I got Point Break.
Send it to me.
I studied Point Break. I can't... That would be illegal. No. I own the copyright for that. No. Anyway, I had studies Point Break for A-level film studies, along with Lawrence of Arabia, a couple of others.
It's in a different format, QE.
I love that movie.
Good movie.
It's only like
good movie.
It's under $9 on Amazon.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to snatch that next time. Yep. Thanks.
I miss Blockbuster. Being able to go in and buy used movies for £1.
Yeah.
Blockbuster, wow. That's been gone for a long time.
Friggin' chocolate, you don't even know what Blockbuster is, right?
You gotta be kidding me, man. Must forget how old I am. I definitely know what Blockbuster is.
Still one in existence in the States. There's one Blockbuster. They bought it out, all the signage privately owned now, name, everything. And they still do the same thing. You know, you can return your rented Blu-ray or whatever. And they've got all the Blockbuster merchandise, which they're doing very well with. So there is still a Blockbuster. It might even be two.
That was some racket in the 80s, boy.
Nah, man. 20 years ago, it was fucking $5 a night rental.
No, 20 years ago today, Sergeant Pepper taught the band.
Listen to Neil laying down the bars, man.
That's what I'm talking about, Sergeant Pepper. Forget about all this baller stuff. Let's talk about music and movies.
Well, then we can go to Tower Records because they do exist in Japan only.
The Walrus
Tower
was
Records.
Paul.
That's another one I haven't heard in a while.
I'm driving my Chevy to the levee later.
Is it dry?
I don't know if it's dry or not, but I'm headed that way. Where I'm going tomorrow, it's wet and level.
Is that
All directions.
the level, or is that the new 2020 new hotness level, which is actually curved?
That's actually too much information.
Euclidean level, the only level that exists in water.
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
That's copyrighted, Neil. You can't use that until you've proved that you actually own the rights to use it.
What the hell's Dave doing? Is he in a tub playing with his rubber ducky or something?
Driving
I'm
over
in my truck.
driving over
God's country.
driving over Lake
Actually-
Pontchartrain again.
About 4 hours I will be working right now.
Johnny, Utah, maybe you should take your boat to Lake Pontchartrain and see if that hump is there.
He's done it. I'll plug his channel for that.
I'm setting him up.
Yeah, Rakia Life. Is that the name of your channel?
Yes, sir.
Check it out, Rakia Life. Lots of images of things like Pontchartrain, along with all the joyous joy. Is that right? All the joy you take from your job.
I love my job, sir.
Yeah, I like watching your
Lake
videos.
Pontchartrain is the only place you see the curve.
In the world.
In the
Well,
world.
if you're at the right angle with the right atmospheric conditions and you use the right camera lens through some glass, you can see the curve. Or if you have 20/20 vision from 15 foot according to sound, you can choose if you want to trust that or not.
To quote unorthodox, Lake Pontchartrain Bridge was built as a monument to the curvature of the Earth.
That's paraphrasing a quote. Yeah, he said it was a monument to Earth's curvature. Unreal.
Yes, he did. Said that like 2 years ago on this show. I still haven't forgotten.
Did he really?
Because I was like, what?
But for more information on how to see or perceive a curve of the Earth, contact Soundly.
Exactly.
Got all the hints and tips.
Wait,
he knows how to do it.
horizon, whatever that is, that word soup.
Oh yeah, that word soup that is the fundamental premise of his religion. What about that word soup, word salad?
That would be geometric horizon.
What's that? Soundly doesn't know.
That's his word soup. Don't worry about that crap, whatever that is. I've been in the game 3 years.
Damn, you remember it off by heart, don't you?
Got a good memory, man, especially with nonsensical things like that.
How to forget.
He thinks the black swan's actual bird, man.
I bet that's not true. I bet Chocolate's actually got like George Musa quotes tattooed on his forearm and stuff. He just leans over and reads them.
Nah, they're too good. They just stand out. It really is level. Come on. He even did the air quotes with that. Like that was like a bat signal. Like what? What the hell is he doing? And Bart the Flat Earth didn't pick up on that. He's just like, yeah, it's all legit.
I remember you telling me about that before I saw it, Chocolate. You're like, did you have you seen it? I was like, no. He's like, he's talking about we don't have to work on the really is level. Oh, I've got to listen to this. I remember you describing it like with really exasperated about the fact that he's basically nudge, nudge, wink, wink. It doesn't really matter that this isn't real, is basically what he's saying.
That's all I could hear. We must consider Newtonian gravity as a force. That doesn't mean it really is one, but we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level. Bro, if you fall for that okie doke right there, then you're just a sucker. Because that's him telling you this is not real, but yeah, it's real because, we got to think of it as real. Like, are you kidding?
Don't you think it's interesting that people will tolerate that, though? So I've had it in spades over the last week with the videos I've made about Thunderfoot. So the commenters have come, and bearing in mind that, right, Thunderfoot's known for doing practical examples that debunk people. So even if he's debunking a cup of coffee being made, iced coffee, right, he goes to the extent of doing it in a controlled way with a thermal camera and showing you precisely what the measures are, detailing how they've done it, detailing how they've... it's all very practical. It's all very real, right? Now, bear that in mind when I get commenters saying things like, you've got to think of the balls as being like an individual molecule of gas. It's like, why is it that you're justifying what you've been sold or looking for an affirmation that what you've bought is right when it's clearly wrong? But yet, on most other levels, when it comes to something that you might buy in practical application, you'll be more than willing to sit through an example that actually debunks it. But when it comes to the religion of heliocentrism, I'm more than happy to tell you about how I fantasize this will work. It's like, why is it that suddenly the globe makes people literally not be content to not work on the really is level anymore, as Musa puts it?
Because that's when you embrace the fiction in your science, right? There's a transition where there's the really real level, really is level, practical, useful things in our reality. And then there's a place where you play the harp music and you go into Narnia. And then it becomes embrace the fiction in our science. And, you know, everything was, all the above was calculated on plane surfaces. And for geometric considerations, turn to this page. Choose your own adventure. This is where we're at with this nonsense, man. It's crazy.
Which brings us full circle to what I said to 10th Man at the beginning of the show, which is, I can't remember the phrase that 10th Man used, but in effect saying, well, once you're at the point where you're reading this documentation and they're telling you, or Musa's telling you in a video, we don't have to work at the really is level when we're talking about the sphere Earth. We can just work at the not really is level and the mathematical level and the abstract level. Well, when they're telling you that, you've got a choice. Do I accept that you tell me that I can think of gravity as a force? All right, so I can conceptualize it that way, can I? Oh, thank you. They're essentially telling you what to think. And if you tolerate it and go, yes, I can think of it as a force, then obviously you're more than content to be ruled. You know, your thoughts included. For me, that's just like, it just makes every bone in my body cringe. I can't cope with that. You what? I need to think of it like what? I'll think of it however I like, thanks very much. Now, if you can give me a practical demonstration that shows me it being something other than how it is, then I'll accept what you say, or at the very least dissect what you've shown me. But if you show me something that's completely not what you've described, or in the case of Thunderfoot as the most recent example, I'll change a gas into a solid to make my religious belief work, then you've got to, like I say, take a choice. Go, do I want to work at the not really is level to make this make sense? Which it doesn't. Well, yes, I do want to work at the not really is level, actually. If I think of gas as bouncy balls, then gravity makes gas go down, go boom, boom, even though it's working its way up.
Speaking of telling people what to think, go to Master B and pull up this Indonesian Maritime Center article. Nathan, if you would.
It's on.
All right. So, as you know, I'm studying this whole topic on a daily basis. So I ran across this one. The elements of celestial navigation. Celestial navigation, a branch of applied astronomy, is the art and science of finding one geographic position through astronomical observations, particularly by measuring altitudes of celestial bodies, sun, moon, planets, or stars. Now, I read this next paragraph. I love it when you say the Earth is obviously observably flat and motionless, because that's what everybody knows intuitively. So keep that in mind as I read this. An observer watching the night sky without knowing anything about geography and astronomy might spontaneously get the impression of being on a plane located at the center of a huge hollow sphere with the celestial bodies attached to its inner surface. Indeed, this naive model of the universe was in use for millennia and developed to a high degree of perfection by ancient astronomers. Still today, it is a useful tool for celestial navigation, since the navigator, like the astronomers of old, measures apparent positions of bodies in the sky, but not their absolute position in space. Did you see it in there, in that second paragraph?
Funny that it says this naive model was in use for millennia. That's funny because I've had people tell me nobody ever thought the Earth was flat. Yeah.
It's so bad, it's so false that it worked for a millennia.
The ad hom is also in there. When they say naive, it's a way of, when someone says, yes, I used to think like you did.
I like spontaneously get the impression of being on the plane.
Yeah, I'm sure that's just spontaneous. It almost sounds like that would be accepting what you actually observe. That's what you observe?
Yeah, that's very naive. No, you need to take geometrical considerations, which are laid down by the powers that should not be, who have documented this nonsense, and explained that they're not really working at the really is level. That's what you needed to do if you were less naive.
Yeah, that's why they say if you were somebody that knows nothing about geography. So we've got to put that geography or that geometry in your head so that you can accept it. And then on your own, you can make that transition from the really is level and play the harp music, and you go right into Narnia and you believe everything they say.
Exactly, just like the geodetic surveyors do. So they take a presuppositional standpoint that where they are is actually pointing with their feet at the centre of Earth. And from there, they then map out the flat plane they're actually standing on. But because they've done the sensible thing, they haven't been naive, they've taken the geometrical considerations first. They haven't just looked around and gone, wow, this is obviously and observably flat spontaneously. They've first, before that spontaneous thought about the obvious that they're looking at, decided that they're going to presuppose themselves standing on a sphere and pointing at a certain angle towards the presupposed centre of that sphere before they actually look at anything. Because they're not naive after all. Why would you take in the obvious and observable flat nature of our existence? First presuppose you're on a sphere. Then if you're going to measure it, make sure you use the Euclidean principles of flatness. Because it's flat. But you've obviously begged the question that you're on a sphere first, so everything's all good. You already know at a base level that you're going to be begging the question you're on a sphere. Doesn't matter that you're going to be measuring it flat.
And they've already given the means to take that spontaneous thinking out of you by placing a globe in your classroom and giving you posters and television shows of a spinning water ball in a magical vacuum.
And every document you look up will be phrased in terms of your naivety if you think it's flat. Therefore worthy of ridicule, which will be drummed into you at a later stage in your education.
What I've said before is when I contacted the navigators and also on the YouTube channels and also in print, they all say what I'm about to say. We must assume the Earth is motionless and stationary and assume the stars are rotating, to use the sextant.
I was just going there. Because I'm reading your little passage right here. It says, let me get it bigger here so I can see it. There's science of I'd like to see the science of finding one's position. What's the independent variable? But I digress. The science of finding one's geographic position through astronomical observations, particularly by measuring altitudes of celestial bodies, sun, moon, planet, or stars. My question is, what are you measuring the altitudes with, and what's your base?
The horizon.
Huh. Well, we've been told that the horizon is refracted. So you got a big problem, ballers.
It doesn't work with a sphere anymore because of their own claim that we don't see a geometric horizon. It's a not actual location. Not that that is in any way in contradiction to the definition of a horizon. The apparent position, meaning A, you can see it, and B, that the sky doesn't actually meet the ground.
And remember, we didn't tell you guys to say that. I don't even think we anticipated that response in particular. But I think that is you guys realizing the impossibility of your model. So the only thing you'll have to say, well, you can't see it.
No, that's them parroting their alma mater, Andrew Thomas Young, when he describes an apparent horizon and a second geometric horizon, which defies the definition of a horizon, because apparently we do not see it, it cannot be seen or measured, and yet it's derived by Al-Biruni to give you the R value, when he claimed to see it and measure it, something that can't be done. We're told it only exists in this mathematics on screen now, the horizon being that geometric tangent point.
That's funny. Weren't we saying that for a long time?
Yeah. Yeah, we were, yeah. We were also saying that the effects that we observe are optical, obviously, because they are. And they told us how stupid we were to assert that perspective was a real thing. They even dubbed it flurfspective. And now we're told, surprisingly, after debunking their geometric horizon required by their geometry, that these are optical effects. And yet their geometric maths, the reason they laughed at us and said flurfspective wasn't relevant, was because they were using geometry. Amazing, isn't it?
Wait, hold up. Didn't somebody come in with an entire list of what he dubbed as excuses that flat earthers use to explain why we see things and why we're seeing, how far away or whatever we're seeing? It was like
that Timmy Clown?
Of course it was.
It wasn't.
Where's he been?
Yeah, Timmy Clown. With that whole list, top of the list, perspective. An excuse that we use. It's actually geometry. Well, hang on a second, Timmy Osmond Clown. What are you going to do as an assertion when you don't have a geometric horizon to do geometry anymore? Does the whole list that you said was excuses suddenly come back into play because all of them are real?
Ah.
It's funny, though, when he came in that day with that list, and I asked him, well, could you have your vision obscured by, fog? It's like, yes. I was like, well, there you go. That's on your list, guy.
That's how easy it is to debunk these knuckle draggers, man. They're real numpties. And is he still carrying around that disheveled portfolio and asking people, well, where's the bottom of the building?
Yes.
His great socially.
Yes, he is. Yes, he's still punting that out-of-date crap. I think he stopped showing his drone going up and down, because obviously the only explanation for that is an angular relationship, which simply cannot be described by Earth curve. If you've got something raising and lowering, increasing and decreasing the angle of view, well, that's going to be described with angles. So he doesn't often punt that anymore. He just does the stills. Where's the bottom of the building in feet and inches? Well, hang on, if it's far away, wouldn't it have reduced in angular size? No, feet and inches only. We have to use the maths that excludes perspective. Why is the 10 feet missing?
Well, logical fallacy is better than nothing.
That's another paraphrase quote from Tim Osmond. Hey, let's pause on this for a minute. Let's dwell on this because we haven't chatted about this, what's on screen for you in the Hangout. So what we've got here is National Geographic's claim that they had a whole load of flat earthers down at the lake to do this, right? They claim that the obstruction of this flag on the back of a boat is caused by Earth curve edge horizon, right? Blocking the bottom stripe. So it's like back to the same sort of question. Why is the bottom 8 inches missing, for the sake of argument, right? What they didn't notice is that this is actually a black swan. Because that's not the horizon that's blocking the bottom of this boat, according to them. It's certainly not a geometric sphere edge, because the horizon's behind it.
It's crazy, right? They didn't have anybody edit this or review it. Hey guys, you might want to rethink about this because you got a horizon.
No, you're wrong, Chocolate. You're forgetting something. The target audience. They know that their target audience were all numpties. That's what, see, you don't see the brilliance in this. Every good educator assesses his target audience.
Hey, Nathan, I've got another screenshot. I got another screenshot that really goes with what we're talking about now from that same Indonesian maritime.
I'll pop it up. But can you just, Quantum Eraser, can you just remember your last statement about knowing your target audience. I want to come back to that. I've got it on screen now, 10th man.
All right, so this going on in the article. In reality, the observer is not located at the celestial horizon, but at the sensible horizon. Figure 1-2 shows the 3 horizontal planes relevant to celestial navigation. The sensible horizon is the horizontal plane passing through the observer's eye. The celestial horizon is the horizontal plane passing through the center of the Earth, which coincides with the center of the celestial sphere. Moreover, there is the geoidal horizon, the horizontal plane tangent to the Earth at the observer's position. These 3 planes are parallel to each other. The sensible horizon merges into the geoidal horizon when the observer's eye is at sea or ground level. Since both horizons are usually very close to each other, they can be considered as identical under practical conditions. None of the above horizontal planes coincides with the visible horizon, the line where the Earth's surface and the sky appear to meet.
Question. Isn't the geoid defined as the hypothetical shape of the Earth?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Now we got a new player. We got a new player, the sensible horizon.
You know, that's funny because I didn't hear that until after Mr. Sensible showed up. Oh, man.
Do you see the trick? Did you catch it?
All these planes that they're talking about?
Well,
yeah, the trick was to say that you've got these 2 different horizons, but basically you can consider them as the same. So where you've got this overlap is what you're describing. So you've got this position where you've got this mathematical construct and concept, and at some point you've got to have it overlap with a real thing. Well, they're saying, well, you can consider this as though it's that.
Yeah, you also have a few other things. You have Muppet vision, as you can see. It says in practical use, it's the same, but they want to distinguish between them. And what they've done, and you remember the one I showed you a day or 2 ago where you had all these different ones? It's there to convolute the one and only single horizon. There's only one. And they even say it here where the sky appears to meet the Earth or the sea. But in order to sell their globe, they put all these other horizons that have absolutely no truth to them, and they show it in that Muppet vision. They completely overtalk, overprint, oversay to confuse, to make the reader think there are this many horizons.
Yeah, that's why they got it in there. Since both horizons are usually very close, they can be considered as identical, right?
Yeah.
And then and then they say none of the above horizontal planes coincides with the visible horizon, as if there's one that is not visible.
Right. Yeah, and it's not both. There's 3: the sensible horizon, the celestial horizon, and the geoidal horizon. You forgot one.
Yeah.
And in reality, none of them meet the definition of a horizon.
Oh, and the visible horizon. That's 4. They got 4 horizons right here.
Yeah, only one of those.
What about the horizon of another?
Thanks, Neil.
Only one of them meets the definition of a horizon, and that's the visible horizon. Now, the word visible is also redundant because a horizon is apparent. It's an apparent location, meaning you can see it. So to say the visible apparent location is also redundant.
Be careful. Be careful with that. Apparent means not actually.
Yeah, but it also means visual, doesn't it?
Yeah, but in this specific case, we got into a big brouhaha we shouldn't have over a couple days ago in the arena over this. The apparent position is the not actual position. Like not actual or apparent deviation. What does apparent deviation mean in that?
Not actual. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Right.
The apparent position would be referring to the fact that the sky does not meet the ground. It appears to meet the ground, and that position where it appears to meet the ground, that apparent location, i.e. not an actual location where the sky meets the ground or sea, that's why it's apparent. It's not an actual location. By definition, it can't be a geometric horizon by its own standards and definition. It's a non-actual location.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Even though the foreground might be there, the background of the sky looks like it's touching the horizon well, obviously.
And by
Give me a
definition.
couple minutes. Give me a couple minutes, Nathan. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries.
So, but we do see a horizon, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So why couldn't somebody take a boat to we see it and then measure?
You could measure where, from your perception, the boat is simultaneously seeming to be in the same location as a not actual position. That would be a horizon. From your vantage point. Meaningless. The boat's not suddenly on a not actual location. It just seems to be in coincidence with that not actual position when you look at it from your vantage point. Which could change if you moved.
Right. I got you.
It could also change if you increase the aperture of the thing you were looking at that boat with. So you go up to a big zoom camera, you could put the horizon behind the boat where it was suddenly previously on the horizon.
Why?
That chocolate?
Sure makes it easier to focus that way.
Point is, it's not a geometric sphere edge, physical in nature,
Another
capable
horizon.
of blocking boats and buildings. It's just not that.
Hey Nathan, I got a question for you. Do you recall the video you made about 3 days ago, why they laugh at R? Or why they laugh at flat earthers?
Yeah.
Do you recall the episode that you took that clip off of? I've looked through like 20 episodes and I'm still trying to look through it.
Should be
Trying to
linked in the
find
info
the,
box.
like,
I always link the video it's come from in the info box, so it'll be in the info box.
All right, yeah, I did. Must have been the same guy, but from a different video then, because it wasn't the one that I was looking for. There was one in particular, I thought it was in like the 1280s or the 1180s, and it was when you had this guy come in there and you went through everything with him, and he was a good sport. I just cannot recall the number. Anybody know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. It was also trimmed out.
Talking about Spider Diddy?
No, it was previous to Spider Daddy. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's one of the trimmed out clips. So
I don't know. I think Spider Daddy might be the guy I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which one was that? Did anybody know?
1170 or maybe a high 60.
Yeah, I looked through all the 1170s. So
what are you trying to find?
There's a clip there, a show, at least an hour. I think it was all in the after show, possibly. And I think it was that Spider Daddy guy, and he went through everything. I mean, he acquiesced when he couldn't say anything else. He was actually like honest. Yeah, went through everything, the whole gauntlet.
We went
Dude.
through Cavendish with him, science experiment, all of that.
Mass and weight.
Everything.
Yeah, that was
man.
a heavy
It
one.
was great.
I got a little clip on. I got the little clip on mass and weight. You're looking for the number of the show, though, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't have that.
What was the name of the?
He was honest until the after.
What
Then
was
he
the name of
showed
the
his
clip?
true color.
Can you remember the name of the clip?
I could give you the clip.
No,
Oh,
not
you're
you.
talking to him? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
What was the name of the clip? You said you know the clip, but you just want to know the video. Because I can tell you if I know the name of the clip, I'll find the clip and it'll have the link to the video.
Outstanding. Are you talking to me?
When the penny
Yes.
drops, that's the name of the clip, isn't it?
That's not the clip I was thinking of, unless you're talking to QE for his clip.
No, I'm talking to you. So,
I was mistaken. I was mistaken. It was like Mr. Super Guy or something that was on that clip about why they laugh at flat earthers or whatever.
You're referring to a clip called "When the Penny Drops." That's the clip, and the show is 1184 Uncut and After Show on the second channel. So it's 1184 on Nathan Oakley channel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. Because I went from like 1169 to 1182. still couldn't find it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, that was epic because, like you say, we went through almost everything you could cover with him essentially responding with the correct or close to the correct response, and then upon it having a defeat, he would maybe go through it once more, but then he'd concede. Very rare.
Are you saying that was Spider Daddy, or was that somebody else?
It was
as soon as you said Spider Daddy, I know for a fact that is the gentleman.
Yes, it is.
I remember his name now.
Yeah.
All right, you wanted to ask me something, Nathan?
Yeah. So he said, if you're trying to educate, then the sensible thing is to know the audience that you're trying to educate. Obviously, there's going to be a world of difference between teaching a special needs class and teaching a higher education class in a university, right?
Yep.
So where does that leave us, given that we have pretty much that scale of broad coverage? You literally have got complete drongos coming here. You thick, you flat earther. Right up to the rest. Well, do we have at the end? Yeah, we've got PhDs. Yeah, we've got the full spectrum. So how are you supposed to cope with that?
You always teach down to the lowest level, or attempt to. It can also be abused, because if you know your target audience as an educator or a propagandist, sometimes those two cross over. You can tailor that message to, how would you say, form minds, indoctrinate minds. Yeah, it's pretty easy, by the way.
Perfect. So tying us nicely back into the Nat Geo expose, your tuned, acute guy's going to look at this and go, the horizon's behind it. This makes no sense. Whereas your average Joe Normal's going to look at this and go, the narrator says, Earth curve got in the way.
You got
exactly.
They'll hover over the painting, or what were these painted lines on a big block of friggin' chop block. Yeah, they'll all focus on that, and the narration will focus just on the borders of that. That's it. Right?
Yep. And in reality, it's a black swan.
Yep. Yes, sir.
It's literally a debunk of Earth curve, because they're showing you that something can disappear from the bottom up without it being curvature.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, they're affirming the list of perspective excuses when they show a black swan image and claim that the near foreground's getting in the way.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Sweet.
Still doesn't answer my question. So where do I go if my objective is to educate the audience, which it is? I'd list this as an education channel because it is an education in reality. Well, when I've got a broad audience like that, you said go to the lowest common denominator, but as you've pointed out, that will get abused by those who are slightly more intelligent.
Yeah. See, this is an education channel based on social interactions, not only the subject area, but social interactions. So you could probably loosely call it education. You might be able to slip it in there. That's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about an instructor or an educator going over topics like the National Guard, like with any National Guard, National Geographic. That's what I was mainly thinking of.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it doesn't cross. I see.
Wow, it's kind of. I can actually talk. Is Bev around?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I am. Yeah.
Hold up till after the show.
Yeah.
After the show, I gotta talk to you about a certain thing.
John, you're from the hood. You gotta be like, yo, I'm gonna holler at you later, black.
I thought we were putting that on the shelf for a little while.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna show you that curve level, Pete.
That has got to be one of the stupidest things in this whole genre is saying level is curve. It's so stupid.
Orwellian.
Just at a base level. That
They not only say it, they love it.
I love it.
The best part is, right, there was a time when I think, Bev, you might have been there too. There was a time when in 24/7, a new guy came in and he was asking questions, and we were kind of talking about the level is curved thing. And I think from the gate we asked him, do you think level is curved? And he was like, no, that's ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that makes no sense. And then after maybe 10, 15 minutes realizing that we're telling him that the argument coming from your side is exactly that, he had to kind of switch it up, like, maybe that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It was so funny because at first he dismissed it offhand, like, what are you guys talking about? Levels curve. Who's saying that? And we had to tell him, your side is saying that.
I had B-Ball for Life come over the other day, and he's made that try thinking challenge, right? So he comes round and he goes, "Oh, I'll get you a definition of level, no problem." And I went, "All right, just leave off Merriam-Webster." And he comes and he says, "Yeah, it says here it's a horizontal plane." And we're going like, yeah, that's not very good for you. And every definition he came up with was a straight line. Like he automatically thinks in his head that it's curved. That everyone does it.
First of all, B-Ball for Life, you're an empty dipshit of epic proportions. Number two, don't dismiss Merriam-Webster. Use Merriam-Webster. I did it the other day. So right beneath their definition, or right inside the definition of around the curvature of a plane is level. Yeah, you're friggin' numpties. They contradict themselves within that sentence. And then right beneath it, they say that level flat plane is without curves. So if you put those two together, right, real close and let everyone see them, it's a train wreck of friggin' double speaking contradictions right in the definition. So I use it.
Yeah. Speaking of train wrecks, Bev, remember yesterday with Kosho and me? So Kosho comes up. We're just chatting in MOUK. And so Bev and I are talking, and Kosho jumps in. And it's on this topic exactly. And he says in Euclidean, there is curve and there's level, and they're two different things. And then he says, but I'm talking about non-Euclidean. So then he changed it. So then I stopped him. I said, wait a minute, you just violated the law of non-contradiction. You're saying level means something in Euclidean. And when I say level in your non-Euclidean, you say that means curved. It can't mean both things when they're opposite of each other. Then he got hot and heavy on it. So to summarize the thing, I'll let Bev tell what his perspective was. I said, look, if in Euclidean we have the word level and curve, and we know what they distinguish and mean, how come in non-Euclidean they're missing the word level? Everything is curved now. Why would they not have a word in non-Euclidean that described level? Because everything is curved in non-Euclidean, so there is no level.
Yeah, I don't know why they'd want to hold on to that term. The smart ones don't, you know what I mean? They recognize it's just slightly, very, very slightly unlevel. But like, how is New York level with London ever? Like, what are you talking about?
Because reasons, man.
Yeah, there's some reasons last night that numpty dipshit Kosho, I drug him around by the short hairs for like the 5th time. I think he's a masochist or something. He just couldn't get the difference, the concentration gradient difference between sea level and 10 to the negative 17 torr. Just couldn't get it. He invoked the friggin' ideal gas law. I'm sitting there, what the hell? First he said, yes, the ideal gas law. Then he said, no, not the ideal gas law. Yep, the ideal gas law. Unbelievable, dudes. I also caught Negator with his, what he told me 3.5 years ago. You remember this, Nathan? Remember I used to always pop that little thing up? A little screenshot of what he said underneath Specs channel that essentially 3 times 10 to the negative 26 meters is not that much difference between 1 millimeter. And I got a little write-up because he started showing up on the in the arena, man. And I go, let's go. It's time to go. One-on-one. He's there. After about 5 minutes, moderators kept on asking him, you want to go one-on-one? No.
No, he was down for a 2-on-2. But the funny thing is, he tried to jump in on a argument that the guy that he tried to help out didn't want any part of with him, which was the best part.
What was
like,
that argument about? What was that about?
There you go.
What was the discussion?
Well, somebody was having an argument. What was that argument about? It was what was the name? Platypus.
It was me and Platypus.
Right, but what was the subject of that particular one?
Gravity, I think.
The subject was he didn't read a full definition.
Was it something real or was it something imaginary?
I can't
try and narrow it down. Give you a hand.
Damn, I can't remember. So
Me neither.
Shit.
Right.
Either way.
Me neither, and I was having the argument.
I don't feel bad.
There's just so many of them, right? It's one right after the other. I had about 8 arguments last night, man.
Same with the people. They all blur into one.
Jose Retard wanted to take a shot at the title. It lasted about 10 seconds of him friggin'.
Did you ever make a model?
You hear that?
Of course. I want to talk about models and observations.
Did you ever make a scale model? Yeah. Did you ever make observations? Yeah. For over 50 years, every time I open up my fucking eyes.
Right.
Idiot.
With that, I'm going to say...
When they take a shot at the title, do you say, you lose?
The perfect clipped ending from Discord. Thank you, Neil. With that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!